Okay, Ramohog, you have no idea what you're doing. If you believe in this book so much that all you're doing is living that book. If you really truly believe Satan didn't infiltrate that book, then you'll never ever believe that Satan infiltrated our churches. You admit that religion isn't very good. You admit that there's a lot of things wrong within our churches, and organized religion isn't the right way to be. You can't even see yourself. That's how I noticed about these patterns of abuse. There's a long genetic history of abuse in my family. I've been very, very well aware that there's a cycle of abuse. When I had my children, I swore there's no way that I'm going to raise my children and repeat that same pattern. Without me knowing it, I repeated the same pattern. You don't know you're repeating the same pattern. It's really, really hard to see yourself do the very thing that you hate. You are an organized religion, and yet you hate organized religion. So you'll never see where you're going wrong. And you say you live by that book, yet the only way you act and talk is through a book and not through real life. Your book says don't judge, but yet you justify all your judging. You judge that the God I listen to is Satan. Now, just what happens? Just pretend. Pretend that I'm not talking with Satan. I'm talking to the God, the man himself. And every time you judge me, every single time you judge me to be listening to Satan, you're calling God Satan. You can only see what's inside you. If you are looking through red-colored glasses, all you'll see is red. If all your focus is on evil, because that's the only thing that's inside you, then that's all you'll see is evil. And if you justify judgment, then you're going to judge everybody to be evil. And let me give you an example how you're just living a Bible. You're not living life, because there's a hell of a lot of problems going on in this world. Today, yesterday, the day before that, have you realized that there's not one focus of anything in that conversation that has to do with how do we overcome any of these problems? There's not one. You're busy fighting about whether that book is right. You want to focus all our time on you are right and I am wrong, and all in regards to that friggin' book. And you haven't even recognized that that's a pointless argument. There's no win-win there. There's absolutely zero chance you have in making me convincing me that doing everything wrong is going to be the right thing. You're hung up on age. You say we all need to die at 120. I'm saying the Bible, they were living 900 years, and the God I'm listening to is kind of saying death is not the way to go. Even Satan said, if you follow my way, you use these quotes yourself. You said, Satan said, if you follow my way, you will never die. So, doesn't Satan lie? Hasn't Satan proven that if you follow his way, you will in fact die? So, if I'm following God's way, and God has shown me a path how not to die, then wouldn't God be the right guy to listen to? Does God lie? But that book doesn't say that you're going to live. That book says you're only supposed to live 120 years. So exactly how does God want you to die? Through an Armageddon? So aren't you really, really happy that there is an Armageddon? Aren't you putting a lot of energy into that Armageddon? Because you think we all need to die. God says no. Satan is the one that wants you to die. Satan's a friggin' liar. Okay? If Satan says, if you follow my way, you won't die. So ultimately, if you die, you're following Satan's way because Satan's a liar. And so in how many ways has Satan maybe made the suggestion that you need to die? You know, just by putting 120 years in there. If there was an age limit to what God wants you to live at, don't you think Satan might have put those words in that book? I mean, use some common sense. God is all about you living, and yet in a book it tells you how you're supposed to die. And we tend to follow what we believe. Every aspect of reality is based on what you believe to be true. You have a belief in a Bible, so you're going to create your reality based on everything that you see in that Bible. It's your belief systems. The question is what do you want to believe? And yes, you keep throwing at that the Bible has all of these prophecies. Who the hell put a prophecy in there? That was Satan. Like Satan does that through the music industry. They're using the music industry to play out a role that they want happen in the future. Because as soon as they paint a picture, they know it's programming the subconscious mind to create what it is Satan wants to create. They put these guide stones, these Georgia guide stones up there, the laws about how they're going to kill most of the population. You know why they do that? Because as soon as they put a prophecy up there, a prediction, then that prediction plays on the subconscious mind that will, subconsciously go down the path of that. So if you really, really look at that Bible says if you do not follow God's way, then you will create an Armageddon. So it's like if most of the people on the planet are believing in these prophecies, then it's the people that are believing in these prophecies that are reading these Bibles that aren't following God's way. You're following the path to death. And truthfully, what makes you put yourself in a position to judge me? You want to say I'm all emotional and I'm making my judgments on emotion. It's like you are not in my brain. You do not know how I think. You don't know what my experiences are. You don't know the level of research I've done. You don't know the testing of the spirits that I've done. You know nothing about me. Yet you judge me. You put yourself in a position of God, and where God is all knowing, and only He can judge. And then you say how God's going to judge. Well, there's Satan for you again. You have no comprehension of how God will judge you. You haven't put yourself in the mind of God and see what He would do. That's how you can understand another person's perspective. Walk in their shoes to understand where they're coming from. You can't put yourself in somebody else's shoes. You can't have any understanding of where anybody else is coming from. You're only basing all of your opinions based on your emotions and through the fear that you have. And you use the word hate a lot. So the glasses that you view the world is full of hate, full of fear, and you use the word lies, so it's full of lies. Those are what you view because that's all you see. You don't see truth. Otherwise, you'd be talking about truth. You're not talking about truth. You're talking about arguing. All you want to focus on is arguing. You don't want to face the reality that there's some big problems. You don't want to focus on what is our agreement. What is it we happen to agree upon, and how can we build on that to overcome evil? No, you want to say that I'm evil and you need to overcome me. That's kind of really warped and twisted because you want to beat evil and I want to beat evil. So as long as you're seeing me as evil, who the hell are you fighting? I'm not out here destroying no planet. I'm not out here destroying the world. I'm not here poisoning the planet. I'm not out here sinning. I'm not out here judging. I'm not doing any of the things that are doing anything to destroy this planet. You, on the other hand, are distracting me because I tend to want to focus on some solutions, but I'm busy talking with you and stuck in this nowhere, endless argument that has been proven throughout history that all that is war. You can't even see the same patterns of war. As soon as you separate yourself from all others, as soon as you say you are good and everybody else is going to hell, you create a war. And I have no interest in being at war with you. If you want to believe that I am following Satan, then I'm not going to judge you for that. It's like, may God be with you then. Do what you need to do. But you got to know, I'm out here. I'm going to be mentioning some things that don't make too much sense. I'm going to be mentioning, does this make any logic sense to you? That God only wants you to live 120 years? I'm going to be mentioning, is disease actually a reality, or is that something that maybe Satan created? They lived 900 years. Why is it that we're dying now? These are some tough questions that humanity needs to start looking at. That all of our illnesses are being created because of the way we live our lives. And the way we live our lives is through sin. And one of the biggest sins that we do is separating ourselves from all others. As long as we want to create wars, war is the very thing that ends up killing us. So this war that we're having between each other, this is another example of the big war, from country to country. You want to be stuck in that war. I do not. So who is filled with Satan, me or you? I don't want your war. You do. I'm asking you what you want. You want to overcome evil. I'm saying let's focus on that, but you want to focus on Bible talk. Like, the only way we're going to fight evil is if we agree on what's in that Bible. Is that true? Is that seriously true that we have to be exactly right? You want to believe that, okay, it's 120 years. Okay, doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Create a world where everybody on this planet right now lives to the age of 120. I'm okay with that. If you want to believe 120 is the limit, let's go with that. So let's see how you can create a world where everybody on this planet doesn't die and lives to 120. Like, let's deal with some solutions and stop sitting around judging other people. You do not know me. You do not know what I've tested anything out. You do not know the research. You do not know how I talk to God. You want to assume. You want to make a lot of assumptions. And I'm telling you, I've ran across people like you. And they walk and talk exactly like you. They would be the parents that beat me every day. They walked and talked exactly like you. When I was dealing with abuse and needed help, and I walked into every denominational, every different type of church, guess what? They talked exactly like you. I know who you are. Peace out.